We're going to talk more about this with the former CDC director, Thomas Frieden, joins us. Also, Dr. Ian Lipkin, a leading expert in epidemiology at Columbia University Center for Infection and Immunity, also nicknamed the Virus Hunter. It's good to have you both, doctors. Thank you for joining us. Dr. Frieden, based on the update we just got, more than 72 hours since the president's last fever, he's not on any fever-reducing medications. His oxygen levels are entirely normal, though he's not out of the woods yet. How would you characterize your assessment, based on the information we know, of the president's condition right now?
Well, basically what we just heard is so far so good. He's gotten 4 different treatments. He's gotten oxygen, he's gotten monoclonal antibodies, which are promising, he's gotten remdesivir, and he's gotten dexamethasone, which, as has been noted, is usually given later in the course of disease for someone who's severely ill. And the doctor went through that some, that the reason was essentially to do everything, to have a no regrets policy, and he seems to be doing well. But as noted, it's often 7 to 10 days before you see someone who gets seriously ill. And the 2 things you have to think about when you send somebody home are first, is it going to be safe for them and others? And second, if they get worse suddenly, will you be able to manage that quickly? Because that happens, that patients may look great one minute and terrible the next. But right now, it looks like all of the signs are pointing to a steady recovery. But as you say, too soon to say for sure.
Dr. Lipkin, what would be your concerns, if any, about sending him home back to the White House too early and discharging him from Walter Reed?
Well, I agree with everything that Dr. Frieden said, and actually I agree with most of what Dr. Conley said. I would say, however, that I wouldn't say that he's not on any anti-fever medications. He's on high doses of dexamethasone, which can suppress a fever. So he might, in fact, have a fever if he weren't on dexamethasone. I am more concerned, frankly, about the period when he was infectious, before he went into Walter Reed. Many people were exposed, and we need to make certain that they are properly tracked and protected. So we had the Bedminster fundraiser, we had the drive, we had the rally in Minnesota. All of these people he probably encountered at the time that he was most infectious.
Dr. Frieden, clearly a quite wide-ranging and I guess expensive cocktail of drugs and treatment that the president has been on over the last couple of days. Yet he tweeted earlier, don't be afraid of COVID, don't let it dominate your life. Is that a sensible message to tweet out, and would others be able to have such easy access to the treatments he's received?
Well, I think there are 2 different messages there. Don't let it dominate your life. I think that's good advice. We need to see COVID as one threat and move forward to the greatest extent possible. Don't be afraid of COVID. You know, we've had 210,000 Americans killed by it, 1 million people killed by it around the world. It is devastating jobs and our economy, and it comes back to hurt us anytime we don't take it seriously. So I think it's very important to give this virus the respect it deserves, because it can be so deadly, even though it causes such a range of symptoms. If you look at someone who's 74 years old, their risk just from an infection of dying from it is about 3%. If you look at someone who's had symptoms, their risk of dying is about 10%. Higher for males, higher if you're obese, lower with good treatment. But that still means 90% of people in their 70s are going to be fine. They're going to recover fully with this, perhaps with some time. So we hope that the president and everyone else who gets this virus will recover quickly and fully, but this is a virus that should not be taken lightly.
He also tweeted in that same tweet some really great drugs and knowledge. I wonder, Dr. Frieden, you ran the CDC. How is this country, how do you think this country could handle this pandemic differently with President Trump's now firsthand knowledge of the drugs and of the severity of the types of symptoms? Could it, for instance, speed up regulatory approval for a treatment like Regeneron's monoclonal antibodies, which is still not approved?
The company is going to have to develop data and show whether it works. They've got one company publication that looks at 275 people who got it in an uncontrolled fashion. So we need to know, does it work, and is there enough of it? Monoclonal antibodies are a very promising treatment, so we hope they'll be available for people And I hope that this will emphasize to people that COVID can be very serious. And we hope the president will get fully better very quickly, but a lot of people aren't. In fact, if you think about a simple number, Thursday, the day he became ill with disease or was diagnosed with the virus, probably 200,000 other Americans also got the virus that day. We're diagnosing about 40,000 a day. There's about 5 times that many who are actually with the infection. Of those 200,000, about 1,000 will die from this. So this is still a serious pandemic, and we are still in the middle of it. We need to do a much better job managing. We need to do a much better job preventing it, understanding that no matter how much you test, you still have to prevent. You have to wear a mask, watch your distance, wash your hands.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.